So today we're gonna take the Ferrari Pista, it's a 488 Pista, for a coffee run. Oh, and I got a ticket. Let me show you my favorite part about tickets. This is what I do. I take a picture and I immediately text it to Betty and I hit send and it gets paid. My favorite part about the car, this thing right here, the engine. You want a cold start? So good. Compared to like the McLaren or the Porsche, it's a wide car. It feels like the tires on it are super wide. The blinkers is on the steering wheel, so like everything's on the steering wheel. I also found out the horn's on the steering wheel. You can hardly see it, but it's right here. So sometimes when I'm turning, I think somebody's blinking or honking at me, but it's me doing it to myself. I'm like turning and I'm like, honk. The paddles, if I pull them in, they go into neutral, so I can do that. That's kind of awesome. In automatic mode, it does this cool thing where it kind of senses what gear you need to be in. It tracks to what I'm doing and goes, oh, okay, we're gonna switch it around. There's no storage space. Out of all my cars, this car has no storage space. I mean, it's a joke that the gum, like there's like a little thing here for my gum. There's a net right there and that's about it. And then, you know, the infotainment is this little 3-inch display right there, which is hilarious. But you know what? It's not about, it's about the engine. It's a track car. You can daily it, and I do, but it's meant to be experienced. It's very Ferrari. You know, I'm pretty easygoing, so I don't really think about it, and I'll tell. And the reason why is I don't deal with it. So all my cars are warranted, and Betty, who manages my house stuff, deals with it all. So if you had to ask somebody, like, you got a lineup of supercars, which one is the most unreliable, I think McLaren would be on the bottom end of that. Like, Ferrari would be towards the top. I mean, Porsche would be the top.
Yeah, Porsche, Lamborghini.
Bulletproof. Yeah, the Huracan specifically, bulletproof. So if you said like driving theater to reliability, Ferrari would probably have to be there. You could argue Lamborghini, but for me, I feel like the mix of performance and sound and just the vibe of a Ferrari is more my style than a Lamborghini, but that's, you know, everybody's different. So when I looked at all the different Ferraris, and I also wanted something that's going to retain its value. So like the SF90 is the modern version of this, but you know, when you look at the amount of production made for that and just how the value is being held, it's just not as, it's not going to be as strong as this one. So that's also a thing. Just every car I get, I want it to have a different driving experience. It's kind of funny because there's two audiences that I'm speaking to. There's the kids that I work with, the youth program. Then the other audiences are my wealthy friends that are essentially prisoners of their own money and trying to encourage them to let go a little bit. I mean, it's fascinating to watch these people that are multi-decamillionaires that, you know, really stress themselves out over dollars. Like, it fascinates me. How does it drive? It is very stable, so it just it does feel heavy. Like, it feels like a meaty, meaningful car. So it's got a lot of weight. The power is like, it doesn't like come out of nowhere. It's very consistent. It knows what I want out of the car and it'll adjust. It does exactly what I want it to do. But not always. I'd be lying, because the GT3 does it better. In a corner, depending on how unsettled the car is, the car may not do exactly what I want it to do. There's give and takes, but it's also the driver. Can't blame the car.
Pretty good brakes.
Oh yeah, the brakes are ridiculous. Some brakes are too ceramic-y, like they're too grippy. This one is not grippy. Just give them some space. Doesn't cramp my style. Sometimes I'll do that. I'll just sit here and. Jeez. Just the shifting, like
So quick.
oh.
Yeah, the transmission must be fast.
Oh yeah, it's got to be the best transmission in all cars. I would put it against all cars, and I love the Porsche. The transmission is
Yeah.
blazing fast, like 5 milliseconds, not even 50. I think when I started in business, I used to think, do something at a fair price, fair quality, whatever. And I realized the more and more I get older, I'd rather be top of the market in regards to the quality. Ferrari's profitability per car is $90,000 per unit versus the average is $9,000. It's 10 times more profitable as a car brand than number 2 and 3.
Really?
Yep. I think this is where a lot of companies have a hard time replicating this, but like heritage is a real thing. They're using story and history and heritage to really get you bought into the brand. I think a lot of people have great stories, they just don't tell them.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people have an amazing origin story that they just choose not to tell because they think nobody wants to know. People want to know how you made the business. I think most people should go get a car priced out. I think a lot of people, especially if you have a business, you could probably buy a car, you just don't know what they cost. Go look at the used inventory. You can buy a 3-year-old car and, especially if you finance it, if you lease it, you could probably get it at a reasonable price point where you can drive it. And the thing is, most people, it's just like hiring employees, most people look at like, oh, that's 120K higher. 2 things. One, it's not 120K higher, it's 10K a month. Get it priced out, see what the financing terms, your insurance, all that stuff is, and then realize that whatever your situation is in life, if the previous 3 years got better and better and better, then it's not a fixed relative to where you're at today, it's a percentage of where you're at today that's gonna go up, so it's gonna be a smaller percentage of your income as you go up. In 3 years, if your business is double the size, that payment is gonna be 50% less painful. People can't think in that kind of headspace. Well, a big part of it is just positive attitude. Most people that have a limited view on the world, pessimistic complainers, it doesn't matter what kind of goal they set, if they don't have a positive attitude, they'll just never be able to activate it. Specificity of the goal and embracing the constraints. How do I achieve this with this constraint or without this other thing? That, like, creating a constraint really is a differentiator. Whatever your fear is the thing you should add to the constraint. So I'm scared if I do this that traveling will be hard. So how do I get in the best shape of my life without making travel hard? Cool. That's a great goal. And then it's really about the stakes, rewards, and visibility. Those are like the 3 ingredients that makes them inevitable. I have something to run away from, the stakes. I have something to pull me forward, the reward. And I have support through accountability and resources by making them visible. Then it's almost like, unless you're a sociopath, man, it'd be really tough for you to achieve your goals. All right, ready? Let's go. This is weird. I will say a little quirk and feature. This little light here.
Is it a light or reflector?
I don't know what it is. That's a reflector. I just don't know what that is. Like that's a weird one.
Final thoughts on the Pista.
Final thoughts on the Pista. It is one of the most beautifully designed cars. The engine, the audio theater of it is probably the best in any car. The sound of it is just, and I put an exhaust on it, so it's got that, but it's just a beautiful, beautiful car.